Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid and another morning ramble. Guys, it has occurred to me that we have all got to make like trees and leaf. And no, that doesn't mean get out of where we are unless we're in a bad situation. But I want to give a shout out to Andrea Craig, who yesterday left a comment on one of the morning rambles. She said, I noticed you're something to the effect of, you're always talking about trees, you're always doing this stuff with trees. I Googled trees, the meaning of trees, and the OMG, that's you. And I thought, well, what's this? What, you Google trees and you look at images and there's a picture of me by a tree or something, blending in with the tree as I do when my beautiful bride Dearly and I go on hikes and I can blend into the trees so no one can see me using my skills. Well, no, that's not what Andrew was talking about. So, because I Googled it, and basically, I read about the symbolism of trees, and I thought, wow, how ironic. Andrew is kind of right. And guys, the symbolism of trees made me think of you, those of you, you know, the couple thousand of you who every day will watch these rambles. I've learned that the number of subscribers you have on YouTube is a very misleading number, okay? Because as of this recording, we supposedly have 67,000 subscribers, but there's about 2,000 of you who come by every day and watch these morning rambles and watch Dearly cook, and you're the ones that matter to me. So the arbitrary number of 67,000 means nothing to me, but the 2,000 of you who over the next day and a half or 2 days will watch this do. And here's why I want to share with you what I found through Andrea's guidance leading me in this direction about the symbolism of trees, several factors, and then one that really wasn't mentioned, but I kind of had an aha moment and came up with because it is fall, the leaves are going, and at any rate, trees in essence kind of symbolize not so much a rebirth, but the ability to rejuvenate, to continue to live throughout cycles, throughout seasons, and to put that in relationship to our lives, despite difficulties, going through turmoil, hardships, as things come, as things go, just like the seasons, just like the weather, trees continue to survive. You know, it's interesting, you guys have probably all seen this meme or this old quotation or about an acorn. One acorn can create a massive forest that has millions of trees in it. You know, you see these big oak trees behind me? That came from an acorn, and thousands and thousands and thousands of other oak trees came from acorns that came from the same parent tree as this one. Now, this one has stood the test of time, more so than the rest, but you understand the point. And it's also very ironic and very wondersome that a match, one little match, can come from the wood of a single tree, and that single match, if used inappropriately, can take out an entire forest. So with one acorn, we can grow a forest, we can create a match, which can destroy a forest. And this is all part of that ever ongoing cycle of symbolism of life, and then there's everything else in between. And now this is where my comment there at the beginning of we must all make like trees and leave comes into play. It's very cold, it's below freezing right now, but I wanted to come up here and do this anyway because this was very powerful, what I found when Andrea guided me towards Googling tree symbolism and all this. If we think about the leaves, okay, it's fall, they've gone. It's kind of like a shedding process, like animals with hair and fur and whatnot. And in regard to what I was thinking about how this affects us, because I come up here, I have these morning rambles, I talk about places I've been, places many of you have been, those of you who share part of your life with us in the comment section. We've been through the ringer, we've made it through. Those experiences are those leaves, those old habits. Actually, the experiences I would probably relate more as a growth ring. When we go through something difficult, we make it through, that's a growth ring. And just like if you were to cut into the middle of these trees, some of those growth rings are very wide because those were the good years, and in the not so good years when there was a lot of drought, not so much rain, the growth rings are very close together, they're very tight, as is our lives. as are our lives. But the whole process of shedding the leaves, those are the bad habits, the misbeliefs. You know, I've talked before about getting rid of the biggest lie we all believe, and that is the little I can'ts. Like, I can't, for me, go running today because I still have to cut more firewood. Well, yes, I can. I've got to make the time. I've got to stop making the excuse of the big little I can't and make the time to make it happen. Now, once I do that enough times, I form a good habit. That bad habit, that's the old leaf that I shed. That's how I must constantly make like a tree and leaf. All these bad habits, all these things I say I can't do, the projecting, I come up here and I talk about living in the here and the now, and then I'll catch myself worrying about something that might or might not happen 3 months from now. I've got to shed that leaf. I've got to let that go. And then that new bud that comes up the next spring and that next cycle has got to be a bud that is going to say, no, Crazy Lake, stay in the here and the now. Okay, sure, it's okay to be thinking about the longer term, but don't get so caught up in it that you miss the here and the now and you don't focus on the here and the now, and don't allow any worries to become a self-fulfilling prophecy because you're sending that energy out to the universe. Oh no, this bad, terrible thing is going to happen. Guess what? It probably is. So I thought that was very interesting. It was very ironic that she would say that, because yes, I do marvel at my trees. I go around looking at my trees, looking at the deer damage, and I've been having a very interesting issue with that in regard to that big giant 8-point buck. I think he and I may have come to an understanding here about a week or so ago in regard to which of my trees he's going to not tear up. After he's gotten a few, and as crazy as that story sounds, I think I'm going to go around with the camera here today and record the tree damage and tell the story and talk about the understanding I've come to with this big 8-point buck. If you missed it yesterday when I came out to come up here and work on some more of this firewood, I saw that 8-point buck up here in the field with 5 or 6 does. Come on, girl. Come on. And Miss Cleopatra ran them off, didn't you? She came up here and started to go up there to round them up. They didn't want anything to do with it, so they just took off into the woods there after I'd stopped recording, huh, girl? So anyway, this big 8-point buck was going around destroying my trees, marking his territory. And, well, that's a whole nother story in and of itself, and I'll get to that. But, you know, a lot of you listening to this might be saying, oh, yeah, but, you know, I don't have a lot of people in my life. I'm not that important. What's it worth shedding these old bad habits at this stage in my life? I'm in my later years, or maybe, you know, my health's not so good. What's it all worth in the first place? Do I matter? Yes, of course you matter. These trees, I mean, trees leave legacies just like people, and you never know. I've talked about this once before, about how you are the light in someone else's darkness, so make sure to continue to shine bright. You never know who that person is or where they are. I mean, I look at my house down there, and it's 118 years old. Dearly, you know, who's from the Philippines, we always marvel at the fact that our house was built the same year the Philippines was liberated. Well, after we liberated them from Spain in 1898, but then the Americans left in 1903. That's the year our house was built, 1903. How ironic is that? But there are solid oak beams underneath that house and all throughout that house was built with that will allow that house probably to stand another 118 years versus a lot of the newer constructed houses that are made out of pressed board and whatnot. But so you're looking at 118 years ago that wood was turned into lumber from a tree that was probably more than 100 years old at the time, I'm sure. So you're going back about a quarter of a century. That's the legacy some of those trees left. And also, I mentioned it's below freezing right now, hence the toboggan and hence the pink fingers. We were watching a movie last night. We decided to camp out in the living room, so we closed off all the doors except for in the living room. We put the air mattress out there. This is kind of what Daniel, our son, he's 7 years old. He enjoys this for now. I don't know how long he'll enjoy this, but while he enjoys these things, we're going to take advantage of every single bit of it and enjoy doing it with him. So we're camping out. We're watching a movie. We're chucking wood in the wood stove. You know what? We never had to use the heaters last night. And a lot of the wood we burnt is a bunch of gnarly, old, seasoned, dried, because I'm learning more and more about this whole homesteading type lifestyle the more I get into it. And I can go around the borders of my properties or around the borders with the tree lines here and find limbs that have been laying on the ground for 2 or 3 years that have not decayed but have seasoned, cut into them, and they're just still solid on the inside, but they're dry, they're seasoned. That's what we've been heating the house with a lot lately, while we're giving a lot of our newer cut wood time to dry out and season more. That's the legacy these trees left, and some of them were small, some of them might not have been the prettiest to look at, but guys, this is our lives. We are affecting someone. It might be now, it might be in the future, but like that tree, it's all about a cycle, and like a tree, we have to leaf. That being, with the shedding of these leaves, I talked here just a few days ago about how the end is never here, it's always a new beginning. This is so true, and we view the falling of the leaves as the end. No, it's not. We're making way for the new beginning by getting rid of those old habits, those old belief systems that just aren't correct, that just don't work, that just don't move us forward. So I wanted to thank Andrea for kind of pointing out how she saw a relation between the symbolism of a tree and kind of what I do up here in my field, talking to myself on the phone, a couple thousand of which of you will also see me talking to my phone within the next couple of days. Think about this. I know it sounds nuts, but it makes sense to me. But again, that's why they call me Crazy Lake. I hope it made some sense to you, and I hope you got something out of it. So for the time being, I'm going to go down and put some more of that old seasoned wood in the wood stove and get back out here with my saws and everything, and got a bunch of tools under the tarp there. Get back to work on some more of this firewood. So thank you for being with me here for another morning ramble. Thanks for being with us here on our channel, Homesteading Off the Grid. And we will see you for more next time.